What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we have got a full story breakdown of the rise and the fall of the Dark Ultimates. In this storyline, the Maker decides to make his own team of Ultimates to deal with the heroes and take over the world. With the help of Ultimate Kang, Hulk, and Quicksilver, and the ultimate Infinity Gauntlets and stones to do it. This is one of my favorite Ultimate Universe stories of all time. I mean, top 3. I read this on a regular basis. So I hope you guys enjoy this story as much as I do. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you are fans of the Ultimate Universe. We cover both the old and the new on the channel. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to start the Dark Ultimate storyline, also known as Ultimate Comics, The Ultimates, issue number 25 to issue number 30. I would say this is probably one of the most underrated runs in the Ultimates runs that we've had in the past, because this one really explains a lot about the universe and its place in the multiverse, and we also get to see the ultimate Infinity Gauntlets. Yes, there's 2 in this universe, and I believe there are 8 stones. And let's not forget the most important part, the Dark Ultimates team, with the Maker, Ultimate Kang, Ultimate Hulk, and Ultimate Quicksilver, who give the Ultimates a good run for their money. And I mean, guys, this team was definitely probably one of the most formidable teams the Ultimates ever went against. But with all further ado, let's start the Dark Ultimate story. We begin with Dr. Bruce Banner locked up in a facility 1 mile beneath the Triskelion of New York City, and he hears a noise, and he says, "Hello? Who's there?" And someone in the room says, "Hello, Bruce Banner." Bruce Banner says, "You here to beat me up again?" And the voice he's speaking to says, "I am a friend from elsewhere, another time and another place. I come with a proposition." And then Bruce says to her, "You need to go, please." Bruce explains to this person, "This thing on my neck, it pumps me full of sedatives. I can't get upset, and even if I start to change into the Hulk, poison." The person unlocks the device around Bruce's neck and says, "Come now, Bruce, we're capable of so much more than what their feeble tiny minds dream. You are the best the human race has to offer." And then you see Bruce start to get unlocked by the device and starts to turn into the Hulk. And then this person says, "Let's go destroy the ones who locked you in a cage and called you a freak." Whilst the Hulk and this mysterious person make their way up to sea level, we see Susan Storm with the Ultimate inspecting the Infinity Gauntlet and the stones. She explains how, gives a suggestion that the Infinity Gems are born out of trauma that the planet Earth has sustained over the years, like the extinction wave, ultimatum, the sinking of Atlantis, for example. And they all give their ideas and theories and so on. When we see Director Chang of S.H.I.E.L.D., she is getting a call that Bruce Banner has broken out of his cell, and she is going to the Ultimates and telling them to engage. By the time she does this, it's already too late, and the Hulk has already done a lot of destruction. And within seconds, the entire Triskelion explodes, and luckily enough, Susan makes a force field of around everybody who was in the room, and she shouts, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," and then says how, "I feel like my head's going to explode." She puts the force field down on the ground, and then we hear Director Chang say, "This is Director Chang, stationed inside the Triskelion, please report," and she gets no response from anyone. Captain America asks Sue if she's okay, and then Tony says, Cap, we have another problem. The gauntlets, they're gone." And then we see somebody in the background with the gauntlet on, and he says, after years of abuse and torture, locking me up and throwing me at whatever you freaks decide I need to destroy, I finally get my revenge. And then we see who the person is. And then we find out it's Ultimate Hulk wearing both of the Infinity Gauntlets, and he says, you guys are so fucking screwed. I also want to mention, Bruce Banner is in control of the Hulk here. In this part of the timeline, which is very, very far ahead from the Ultimates 2002 run, this is literally like 2 stories before Secret Wars, and in this part of the timeline, Bruce Banner can control the Hulk persona, but if he gets too angry within it, he starts to revert back into his savage nature as the Hulk. So that's the little difference between 616 Hulk and Ultimate Hulk. Everyone's in a panic and we see Hawkeye shout the Hulk. And then we see Captain America say, Bruce, whatever this is needs to stop. That's another 5,000 lives on your head, son. Stop now. And Bruce says, make me. Do you have any idea what these gems can do? And then we see Thor saying, I will strike you down, Banner. And we see Tony as well saying, suit me up, Anthony, and send the Hulkbuster in quickly. The Hulk says, they can destroy universes, they made me bigger, stronger, and now I can kick the shit out of a thunder god. Thor says, have at thee, and Hulk just grabs him in his embiggened form, and gets ready to punch him and says, this is for all of those lightning strikes, and he just punches Thor. And then he moves his attention on to Steve and says, you know Steve, I collected your trading cards and dreamed of becoming you. And I've spent so many years telling myself I failed, and you know what? I did fail. And in failing, I became something better. Something that will make a difference in a way that you never will. Iron Man says this is bad, and Captain America just tells Bruce, you're a psychotic twerp, Banner, no matter how big and scary you think you are. And then we see Anthony say, armor is coming online, Tony, and Iron Man responds with thank you, Anthony. The Ultimates make their assault on the Hulk, and Captain America says, take him down fast, boys, we've got enough dead for one day. And Iron Man says, Anthony, we need that Hulkbuster armor. Bruce starts to get more savage and says, I'm going to suck the marrow from your bones, old man. And then we see Hawkeye shoot him in the face with arrows and says, through a straw maybe. Iron Man flies in and he shoots the Hulk in the face with a blaster, and he says, will you please shut up, man, I've got a headache. And then we see the Hulk scream as his face looks all melted off, and then he starts to laugh as his face heals, and he says, guys, seriously, you're just embarrassing yourselves now. And he's grinning as his face heals back. The Hulk does a cosmic thunderclap and then boom, disorientates all of the Ultimates. And then Susan Storm says he's not using the gauntlets, what the hell is he doing? And then Iron Man says, Anthony, where is that Hulkbuster armor? And he says, on the way, Tony, look up. And as they look up, they say, oh, hello, beautiful. And then the Hulk says, holy shit. Then we see Ultimate Hulkbuster rocking the American flag come down from the sky. And Iron Man says, Anthony, that is awesome. And he responds with, thanks, Tony. Wait till you see what it can do. And then he just shoots these massive blasters and aims it at the Hulk and says, see, new repulsor cells, microscopic, printed right onto the suit. And we see him blast the crap out of the Hulk. The Hulk takes the blast and he just shouts no, and then all we see is these weird tumors start growing out of his skin, and he starts to dissolve as he keeps saying no. He starts to try to walk, but he just crashes down onto the floor like a cancerous pus. And then we see Captain America go up to him and attempt to take one of the gauntlets, and he says, nice job, Anthony. Hawkeye, Iron Man, you need to go over there and search the wreckage for survivors. Now how the hell did Banner get the gauntlets? As Captain America starts taking away the gauntlet, he says, "What the?" He's melting, and you see this weird glow around his flesh, and then he hears a chuckle behind him, and then he sees the Hulk fully manifested, and he says, "Alright, Banner, enough screwing around. I don't know what kind of tricks you're playing, but you're a disgrace to this country, and I'm going to love kicking your ass." And then the Hulk responds with, "You sure about that, Steve? You're sure you're going to kick my ass? Our asses?" And then Iron Man says, Cap? Then they find out they're completely surrounded by clones of the Hulk. Iron Man says, "Anthony, call up all backup armors," and Anthony says, "On it." Captain America says, "Bruce, end this now." And then the Hulk responds it with, "Yes, Steve, it does, because I say so. I'm in charge now." And then Chang says, "I need any and all survivors evacuated immediately. We'll have a bomber in the sky in under 5 minutes. Captain America says, "You're not blowing up New York City, Director Chang." And then Iron Man would respond with, "Okay, Mr. Tactical Genius, any other ideas?" And Cap says, "We need to get out of here. Regroup." And then we see Thor taking on all of the clones of the Hulk, and he says, "I will strike you all down." And then somebody with the Infinity Gauntlet waves their hand and says, "Stop," and stops Thor in the middle of the air. And then we start to see the clones of the Hulk disappear. And then somebody says, "Friends, it's time to end this charade. Frankly, this is beneath all of us. Childish fisticuffs." And then we find out it's the Maker, wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, dressed in his Fantastic Four uniform. And he says, "I'm sorry for the ruse, but I needed some time to make sure everything was ready. Now, let's play." In the next page we time jump 20 minutes ago, the superhuman prison facility known as the Cube. The mysterious figure says, "Reed Richards, it's time." And he responds with, "And you're sure this'll work? Losing your stomach, Mr. Fantastic?" And he adds, "I've done horrible things, but I've done them to make a better world. If this is what it takes to save humanity." And then the mysterious person says, "The fate of the universe has been doomed since the day you set foot in the end zone. The Infinity Gems will fix your mistake." As the mysterious person frees Reed Richards, he says, "Nothing can fix my mistake. You say the next gem is on the way?" The mysterious person says yes, Pietro will be retrieving it from your fallen city any moment now. And the Maker asks, "And you trust him?" The figure says, "With my life. Only 2 gems left. You should be near invincible." And then we see Quicksilver collecting the gem. The Maker says, "I hope that's enough." And the figure says, "It will be. I've seen it." And then we see Quicksilver running towards his objective, and then the person saying, "It's time." In the next page we go back to the fight, and we see the Maker monologuing with one of the Infinity Gauntlets in his hand, and he says, "Heroes, villains, good guys, bad guys, here's what you don't understand. This is not a world of absolutes. This is a world of confusion, and of death, and of misery. Until we use these gems, these fix the mistakes. These reset everything. Well, once we have all the stones, Pietro, and then we see him give him one of the Infinity Gems, and he says thank you. Only 2 more to go, and then we can begin again. Meanwhile, let's just see what these babies can do." As he's inserting one of the gems into the gauntlet, we see him recreating his traditional Maker suit. And then he says, "Maybe I'll turn you into little cartoon characters with big heads. Oh, what do you call those things?" he says. Everyone is watching what's happening, and then Susan Storm says, "He's not wrong, Cap. In theory, all of the gems' power is nearly limitless." And he says, "We beat him before. Has the entire world gone insane?"
The Maker then says, "Sorry, I was daydreaming about my new universe. Now, let's finish this up." I like how he says that about my new universe, and then in Ultimate Invasion, he's basically going to do that. But anyway, in the next panel he says, "I've got places to remake, universes to explore, and I can't risk all of you getting in the way." And with a flick of his hand, he causes destruction with the Infinity Gauntlet. The Maker is trying to erase the Ultimates team with the Infinity Gauntlet, and all of them could feel it. Thor shouts out, "What manner of magic?" Captain America says no, he won't win. And Susan Storm says, "My molecules feel as if they're being pulled apart." And then we see Iron Man and Anthony struggle, and he shouts, "I wish I was drunk right now." Anthony shouts out to Tony how it hurts, and Tony just tells him like, "Yo, hang in there, little guy," and he says, "No, stop it." Captain America tries to get in close with the Maker as he's struggling with the Infinity Gauntlet, and the Maker says, "What the? Why aren't you working?" as the Infinity Gauntlet seems to be flaring in his hand. And then Captain America comes in and punches him in the face. And then the Maker says, "Just because I can't erase you, it doesn't mean I can't destroy you all." And then he tries to morph his hand around Captain America's arm into some weird creature way, and then he chomps down on it. Captain America shouts, "Thor, teleport everyone out of here, leave me to read." And then Thor shouts, "I will not run, and I will not leave you behind." And then Captain America's like, "We can't win this, go and get reinforcements now." Thor flies up into the air and then flicks his hammer, and he teleports the rest of the team away. And then we go and see Captain America fighting the Maker, and he says, "We'll stop you, Richards, we'll stop you this time, no mercy." And then Hulk jumps up to come in and stop him, and then the Maker shouts, "There won't be a next time, we're the heroes now." And then the Hulk just knocks Captain America out and says, "Time to go nighty-night, Steve," and then just slams him. As Captain America lays unconscious, the Maker says, "We're going to save the universe." And then the Hulk asks, "Why did we let them go?" Then the mysterious figure comes and says, "We have the two gauntlets that can remake the universe to our whim. Or we will find the last two stones and we have Captain America. And they will not abandon him. I have seen the future, I have seen the past, and trust that this is how it must be. The Ultimates play their part, and one by one they will fall. The end of the universe is coming, and we are the only hope. God help me." And then we find out the mysterious figure is Ultimate Kang, and she says Kang will not let this world die again. And then we see the whole of the Dark Ultimates assembled with Captain America knocked out. And that is the end of the first issue of the Dark Ultimate story. So yes, people, that was Ultimate Comics The Ultimates issue number 25, the Dark Ultimate story. And I have got to say, people, I absolutely love this storyline. There is so much in it being told, there's so many great fights and moments, but it just went completely under the radar for so many people. But don't worry, people, we're going to be doing the next issue very soon. But the next video that I'm going to be uploading to the channel will be Ultimate issue number 5, Hulk Does Manhattan. And then we're going to take a small break from the Ultimate series, and we're also going to do a little bit of Ultimate Spider-Man, and we're also going to be putting up Ultimate Wolverine versus Hulk as well. But with all further ado, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe as a lead up to Ultimate Invasion, and I'm also going to be doing that on the channel in general because I love the Ultimate Universe. So if you're a fan, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be starting part 2 of the Dark Ultimate storyline, and in this issue, Dark Ultimate's Hulk fights Ultimate Thor. This is one of my favorite stories. I would say this is just behind Jonathan Hickman's The Ultimates for me, but I would say this story never got any shine in the limelight ever. Because this came out when the reader base was pretty much gone in the Ultimate Universe, and I would say it was a pretty good story. And it makes some bold decisions, people. I mean, in this part of this timeline, they made some ballsy decisions. And they make some ballsy decisions in this video. And I want to know what you guys' thoughts is. So, with all further ado, let's start Dark Ultimates Part 2. We begin with the Maker giving a speech to the world. And he says, "My name is Reed Richards. For a time, I was called Mr. Fantastic. I have made mistakes. Dark, painful, foolish mistakes that have made irreparable harm to our world. Irreparable until now. With my allies, I will enact changes on the globe on an ecological, political, sociological level to ensure the longevity of not just this planet, but as a galaxy as a whole. And unlike our predecessors, the Ultimates, we will do it with complete disclosure." As the Maker is giving his speech, we see how he makes his changes around the world. And he says, "Step 1. We have negotiated a global peace. Any nations who refuse to comply will be dealt with accordingly with minimum loss to innocent life. My new Herbitrons combine the best technology to create logical, thoughtful soldiers, capable of this seemingly impossible task." Then we go to Stark Tower in New York City, and the Maker continues and says, "We have undone global patent and copyright standards, effective immediately. All designs, concept, and scientific progress are now in public domain. We are currently liberating all Stark, Roxxon, Hammer, and Osborn technology again with minimum loss to life. Through collaborative innovation, we will build our tomorrow. I want nothing more to be surpassed by your ideas and dreams. To allow this dream to come to pass, we are erasing debt. We are removing financial blockages. We are building a society which financial worries are a thing of the past. The banks are no more. As of this moment, all currency is worth nothing more than paper is printed on. The Stark variant of the sentient seed is being distributed throughout the world. It has been modified to produce fruit and vegetables at unheard rates, effectively ending world hunger. This kind of brilliance is from the mutant community, is something we encourage from all communities, human and mutant alike. Currently, Pietro Maximov is supervising distribution throughout all of the Third World. A hybrid zero-emission energy technology is being deployed to all of our densely populated regions. Dr. Banner and I have designed a graphene polymer solar technology to replace any forms of fossil fuel. This is the end of oil dependency. This is what we've done in our first 24 hours, and there is much more to come. The three of us have all committed horrible crimes, and we understand your fear. I assure you, it is well deserved. But we will do what we can to win you back, to convince you that we are truly only interested in the good of mankind." And before the Maker signs off, he says, "Oh, and one more thing, Ultimates. If you're watching, hell, I know you are. This is how you save the world." In one of Tony Stark's warehouses in a classified location, we see that Thor and Iron Man were watching, and Thor throws his hammer at the screens and shouts, "No more. I will not be mocked by this stupid boy." And then Iron Man responds with, "Better to being turned into ice cream by his cosmically powered gauntlets." And then Thor would respond with, "You're a coward, Tony Stark." And then he says, "Professionally." Thor says
They have our friend and you make jokes? And Iron Man's like, after all this time, you're surprised by that? I'm working on it, Thor, trust me. I know how much we need Cat back. Meanwhile, Anthony's been working on the firewall Reed's added to my armory. And then Anthony's like, actually, I gave up. And then Tony's like, what? For those who don't know who Anthony is, he is actually Tony Stark's brain tumor. In the early days of the Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Iron Man was introduced and also revealed that he had brain cancer. Later down in the Ultimate Universe timeline, they would develop that this tumor could actually talk to Tony Stark and can integrate with his technology as well. And right now, he's trying to break into the Tony Stark systems that the Maker has put firewalls in, and every time he tries to, it just blocks him and says ha ha ha. And then Anthony says the encryption that Reed has added to the Stark systems would either require 500 years or a computer the size of the solar system to crack. And Tony's like, and so no armor, no weapons. And then Anthony says, I'm sorry, Tony. And Tony tells Anthony, it's okay, kiddo. Move on to tracking the 2 remaining stones for me, okay? And then we see Director Chang comment, say, Tony, you're a better father to that brain tumor than to Nick Fury was to our kid. And then Thor says, Director Chang? And then she's like, considering there's virtually nothing left for me to be director of Thor, Monica would be just fine. And then Tony says, what did you find out about our opponents? Director Chang, or Monica, says not much. Most of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s major assets are either offline or under their control. Fury and his team are out of comm, and I haven't had a shower in almost 36 hours. Tony says Banner's been in this facility before. He will alert Reed soon enough. And then Thor's out here and he says, so we attack them before they attack us. And Director Chang tells Thor, we aren't equipped to fight them right now, Thor. I've sent Dr. Storm and Hawkeye to do what they can covertly. But us? We need to keep moving. I've sent out the word to the subnet of all S.H.I.E.L.D. and there's at least 3 facilities that we can try that Banner and Reed shouldn't have any record of. And Thor just interrupts her and says, so we continue to hide? This monster destroyed Asgard, murdered my family, stripped me of all I was and left me mortal. And now he threatens my new home. Nay, I will face him head on, he says. And then Tony tells him, trust me, I understand wanting to punch that little snot in the face, Thor, but I double checked Susan's findings. The Gauntlets are far too powerful. And then Thor starts to swing his hammer to get ready to teleport away, and he says, so am I, before he brings down a crack of lightning and teleports away. And then Tony says, at least he's not going off half cooked. In the next page we go to Alpha 1, Reed Richards' floating fortress above Manhattan. And the Maker is giving orders, and he says, Herbertron Armada 42, please move to secure Saudi Arabia. Herbertron Eco Team 4, increase antibacterial solution by 300%. The Gangers will be purified within an hour, and then move on to the great European tributaries. Herbertron Platoon 6342, begin invasion of the compound, leave no poppy unburned. Herbertron Mining Core 1224, mining outpost needs to increase by 8%. And then the Maker says, Susan, you can come out. My perception skills have improved considerably. Susan comes out and says, Monica sent me here to reason with you. I told her it was a waste of time. I told her what we ended a long time ago. That you scared me long before you became whatever the hell this is. That's not what I came here though. I came here to tell you that I'm not scared of you anymore. You're a child. A bullied child who made sure of himself to become a bully. You're a cliche. And then the Maker sits there silent. As Susan gets ready to gear up to fight Reed, she says, "I also happen to know your physiology better than any person on Earth. So let's do this. I'm totally going to kick your ass." And this part is important because the Maker explains his abilities, so pay attention here folks. And the Maker says, "Susan, really? I'm not even technically alive. I've survived in vacuums. I don't eat or defecate. My vascular system is non-existent. What can you possibly do to me?" And then someone says, "I wouldn't worry about her, Chief." And then the Maker realizes it's the ultimate thing in his evolved form. So in this universe, the Thing has gone through an extra mutation which allows him to glow purple and makes him stronger. And he is also in a relationship with Susan Storm. And then the Maker says, "Ben Grimm, my best friend." And then the Thing says to Susan, "Hey hun, is this chump bothering you? You know Reed, I've been busy with S.H.I.E.L.D. But Reed, if you needed your ass kicked this bad, you should have called." And then the Maker says, "Benjamin, you were the one who always understood and trusted me." And then the Thing says to him, "Not anymore, Reed. I'm done protecting you. In other words, I should say." And then Susan says, "I love when he does this." And then the Thing comes in with a punch and says, "It's clobbering time." As Ultimate Thing is fighting the Maker, Susan says, "I've missed you, Ben." And then she sees a wire, and then she says, "So glad you didn't go wireless, Reed." And then pulls the plug and says, "Easy peasy." When she pulls the plug, all of his television screens go offline, and he says, "Hey, I was watching all of those." And then Ben Grimm comes in with a punch behind him and he says, "Don't worry, I know how it happens to end." While the Maker is focused on Susan and not paying attention to the Thing behind him, he says, "And you think this will stop me, Susan? I have backups running backups of backups." And then the Thing comes in and punches the Maker. And he says, "You know, Reed, I was the only one who understood you. But it turns out, all of those kids who called you a jerk and a freak, they were right. You're a monster. And that's coming from a guy who looks like this." And he punches the Maker again. And then he says, "Now shut your mouth and stay down." And then in the next page we go to Hawkeye busting Captain America out of his prison. And he says over the radio to Monica, "Monica, this is Hawkeye. I think I've found him." And we see him 42 stories below, and he gets one of his arrows to pick the lock that's restraining Captain America. And he says, "Hold on, Steve, I'm getting you out of here." And then Steve says, "Clint?" Hawkeye tells Steve, "Hang on, Susan and her boyfriend are distracting Reed." And then Cap says, "Sorry, Clint." And then Hawkeye's like, "What? Cap, you did what? You had to..." And then she realizes Steve starts to dissolve and his voice starts to change. And he says, "No, I meant for this." And then Hawkeye's like, "What the hell?" And then he sees Ultimate Kang. And he's like, "What the hell are you supposed to be?" "Clint Barton, long time no see," Ultimate Kang says. Ultimate Kang uses her telekinesis to strangle Hawkeye, and she says, "I don't expect you to understand this, Clint, but this all needs to happen." And then he asks, "What are you?" And then she says, "I've been honing my powers for the past few years. I can do things I never even imagined, and they still aren't enough. Reed and we have a world to save." And then she continues, "I am going to ask you to help us and you'll say no. And then I will do something terrible to you because I have no other choice." And Hawkeye, being the badass that he is, he says, "You're gonna have to kill me." And then Ultimate Kang responds with, "The timelines say no. We've done enough damage." And then we go to a bar and we see Thor just drinking booze, and someone says to him, "You look just like him, you know. The ultimate Thor, you know." And then Thor slams his glass down and says, I am him. Or was, anyway. The bartender says, huh, no kidding. I never served a god before. And then Thor says, I'm no god. Not anymore. The bartender says, I was going to say, I figured you were just going incognito, you know, with the shirt and everything. And then Thor says, they burned my realm to the ground. And then somebody enters the bar and says, you look good in a flannel. And this man wearing a green jacket and a purple hat says, give me a whiskey, double neat. And you know what's about to happen, people. Man in the hat says, man, you look like crap. And Thor responds with, stay your tongue, human. The man in the hat responds with, I read your file way back when. Fury showed me how your harness and power source are perfectly adapted to your biology. I told them they were imbeciles to give so much power to a lunatic with a god delusion. And Thor says, ah, Bruce Banner, your words do me no harm, nor do they fill me with fear. And then Bruce Banner starts turning into the Hulk and says, good, I hate for you to run away again. You wanna step outside? And then Thor says in the most badass fashion, have at thee. Hulk says, Hulk smash, as Thor says I, and then punches Thor in the face. Thor gets up and says, that tickled, as he wipes his nose. The Hulk's uniform starts to mold around his body, and he says how. And Thor responds with, before, I worried about hurting you, Banner. I fear that no more. To all who want to live, I suggest you leave in the next 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and then Thor says, boom. A giant lightning strike comes down from the sky and completely destroys the bar and any unlucky souls who didn't make it out in time. The Hulk makes it out of the rubble and he says, and you call yourself a thunder god? And then he comes out ready for war, shouting, what else you got? As we see the Ultimates going against the Dark Ultimates, the heroes are struggling as Tony Stark is talking to Anthony and he says, well, that doesn't make any sense, Anthony. Why would the last gem be here? And then we see the Hulk fighting Thor, Ultimate Kang torturing Hawkeye, and then Anthony responds to Tony and says, the recordings are pretty clear, Tony. We seem to be right on top of it. So you're saying, I've had the weapon of mass destruction, what? Buried right underneath my warehouses? Anthony says, you did have quite a drinking problem. And Tony responds with, touche, kid. As Tony Stark finished modifying his gauntlets, he says, and done. Anthony, you figure these gauntlets will work? And then Anthony responds with, the math works anyways. That's like at least 2/3 of the battle, right? If only it was that easy, Tony responds. After completing his gauntlets, Tony starts to wonder where Director Chang is, and he says, where are you, Chang? If you're mysteriously dead, please say something. And then we see her on her laptop or listening to music, and he disrupts her and says, hey, and kind of scares her. And she says, God, Tony, give me some warning next time. And he's like, sorry, I thought you were... well, never mind, he says. The gauntlets are finished. Come on. Okay, simple concept, hopefully useful execution. The stone that's buried in the earth in Nebraska, and then Chang would say the power gem, right. It has high radial frequency, enough so that in theory we can create a super magnet for retrieving it. Anthony, I'll need you to rejigger a suit into a hermetic drill of some sort. And then Anthony says, no problem, Tony, assuming we can get the suits back online. And then he says, ah! And then Tony shouts for Anthony, and then he hears nothing. And then he says, Anthony, are you there? And then we see this projectile go through Tony Stark's head. And then in the next page, as more blood starts to drip from Tony's head, he says, "Kid, where are you? This isn't the time for a joke." And then we see Chang say, "Wait, Tony, what's that on your forehead?" And then Tony Stark pulls something out of his head, and his head starts to bleed even more. And he says, I've felt this before. Anthony, kid, I really need you right now." And then Chang says, "Let me look at you. There's something," and before she can finish her sentence, Tony Stark starts to fall to the ground, and she shouts, "Tony." Tony says, "What the hell, Anthony? Access to the defenses." "Anthony, listen, whatever's wrong, I need you to listen to me." And then we see Quicksilver in the background knock out Monica Chang as he says, "I don't think your little pal Anthony is going to be helping you anymore, Stark." And then he says, as his head starts to bleed profusely and a glow starts to come out of his head, he says, "I need you, kid." And then we find out, as Tony Stark says, "Anthony, where are you?" The Mind Stone, that was his tumor, that was Anthony all along, was the Infinity Stone. And then we hear the Maker over the radio say, "Quicksilver, did you find it?" And he says, "Yes, Reed. Is the Infinity Gem intact?" "Yes." And then the Maker says, "Excellent. Bring him to me alive." As Quicksilver says, "You never let me have any fun." And the Maker says, "Don't worry, there's plenty of fun to be had." As the Infinity Gem glows out of Tony Stark's head, that is the end of part 2 of the Dark Ultimates. Oh boy. I want to hear your thoughts about this, because this was a really bold move. For one, to let the Dark Ultimates win, and two, to make the Mind Stone Tony's tumor that was in canon since he debuted in the Ultimate Universe. I know for some people they probably are gonna like it, and for some people they're not gonna like it. So please let me know what you guys think about that. So when it comes down to this story, folks, this is by far one of my favorites, and it only gets better from here. So, before I sign off for today, guys, I just want to say, if you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe on the channel, and I'm going to be doing this as a lead up to the upcoming event, Ultimate Invasion, which drops this June 21st, and I'm also going to be covering that on the channel as well. So if you guys enjoyed the content and the video, make sure you drop a like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing part 3 of the Dark Ultimates, or issue 27 of Ultimate Comics, The Ultimates. Now you understand why I call it the Dark Ultimates. But I have got to say here now, you are not ready for this issue. If you do not like gore, do not watch this video. I will understand. If you do not like gore and blood, this is not the video for you to watch. But if you are a Marvel reader and you have not read this issue, you are not ready for this issue. I'm telling you right now. So, without further ado, let's start part 3 of the Dark Ultimates. We begin with the Maker doing an autopsy on Antonio Stark's brain, and he says, "Antonio Stark, I used to read about you before you were like 5 years older than me, and God, I wanted to be you, you know? I thought, if that kid could do it, so could I. But truth be told, you made instruments of death. I give life. I'm making a gateway to the future." And as Tony Stark struggles to talk, he says, "Reed, I want you to listen to me. You're one of the smartest people on the planet. Stop and think about what you're doing here,
please. We see the Maker multitasking as he's doing the autopsy. Half of his face is working on computer screens on the other side of it, making extra limbs, and the rest of him is making extra limbs working on his brain. And the Maker says, "Oh, come on, Tony. We're all past that now. We're standing on a precipice of all reality hinges on the decisions we make. Correction, I make." And Tony says, "You're completely insane." Sometimes, I wish I was. How Tony manages to talk through this, I have no idea. He says, everything that's been thrown at this planet, it survived. The cosmic cube, Galactus, the ultimatum wave, your doomsday. You're not going to And as that happens, the Maker slips one of the scalpels into Tony's brain and says, "Oops, I slipped. I just nicked your..." Hold on.
Glossopharyngeal
"Nerve. You may have trouble not choking to death, but don't worry. I'll keep you alive." As Tony starts to choke, the Maker says, "Where was I? I wish I could share the things that I've learned with you, Tony. I do. It's become very lonely. If it wasn't for Kang, I'd have nobody to talk to. And frankly, she was never my intellectual equal. Almost done in here. Should be fixed up and right as rain." As Antonio struggles to talk, he says, "Terrific. This isn't necessary, Reed. You know me. You know that I care about protecting the world. Everything I've done has been about saving." And in the middle of speaking, the Maker just pops the Infinity Gem out of his brain and says, "Tony, please. Your very thoughts are so toxic, your brain birthed an Infinity Gem." As Tony says, "What?" Then the Maker reveals, "Didn't you know? Your talking tumor was the last Infinity Gem, rattling around in that empty skull of yours." As Tony says, "How is that possible?" The Maker responds, "Well, that's a story." The next page we go back to the battle between Thor and the Hulk, and Thor says, "By Odin's beard." "Tell me about it, Thunder God." Thor says, "Does our fight continue? Are you still standing? No matter how you strike, Banner, I will rise up again. 'Tis my way." "Well then, game on," the Hulk says. As Thor readies for battle, he says, "I have lost much in the last year, and I have not had much chance to work out my frustrations." And the Hulk responds, "Yeah, well, cry me a river, Blondie. All I ever did was try to save the world, to get you morons to do what needed to be done, and look where that got me." As Thor charges up, he says, "You massacred how many thousands, Banner? You'll get no quarter from me," as he gives Hulk his God Blast. We go back to the fight between the Thing and the Maker, and the Thing blasts him and says, "I'm sorry, Reed," dealing a finishing blow. After the battle finishes, the Thing says to Susan, "I didn't want to hurt him. He gave us no choice, Ben." "I know, Susie. The dummy didn't know what he was doing." "He knew. He's known all along." And then we see the Thing and the Invisible Woman make out. The Maker reveals, and somewhat a teaser to the Maker clones across the multiverse, "Do you think I'd spoiled the moment if they knew they were just fighting a small segment of my body that I grew into a full-size replica?" Iron Man says, "God, you're an obnoxious little twerp. How did the gem get into my brain?" See, that's what I've been asking myself. Why you? Maybe you're destined to be the savior of mankind. So the universe put a rock in my brain? Ugh, I'm getting there. But first, Quicksilver. Please go incapacitate my ex-girlfriend and my former best friend. Yes, with pleasure. Now, this part is very important, people, because this part explains the Ultimate Universe and its place within the multiverse. The Maker reveals, multiverse, right? Stacks of universes, like skin. Oldest on top, newest underneath. Theoretically, infinite. And once a universe is born, it begins to die, to contract. But it doesn't contract evenly. If you map the layered multiverse, then you see we are at the center. Tony says, yeah, I suppose all known and understood data could be wrong. The universe's death is progressive, Tony. It dies the faster, the closer to death it becomes. Unless you find the treatment gems. They're formed from upheavals in reality. So Sue was right. They're white blood cells. Figures a biologist would simplify it like that. I studied the negative zone. They, it seems, had one of these extinction events. What happened was unclear, but entire star systems were consumed. Planets disappeared in masses. Only a handful of planets that supported life remained, including the counter to our planet. And on that planet, there was a scientist, a genius, and me. He found the Infinity Gauntlet, and he focused his genius on stopping the apocalypse. But it was too late. The damage was done, and his universe entered a spiral of heat death. So, your theory is what? You can do better? Tony says. No, I can do it sooner. I helped create the last stone. I started a chain reaction with my doomsday attack. By my estimate, we're several thousand years ahead of schedule, and I'll be able to use the gems and save us all. And what says our universe won't find itself spiraling into heat death too? Fair point. I'm smarter than my counterpart. And what happened to your genius counterpart? That's the really amazing part, Tony. He was transformed. He became a new type of entity. A being capable of existing in all layers of reality simultaneously. Unable to act, save, to observe, and talk. Then we find out his negative zone counterpart became the Watcher of the ultimate universe. And then we see the Maker say, now I'm going to do it better, and I can save the universe, Tony. And in Tony Stark fashion, hold on, so you save the universe and get turned into a talking eye on a stick? Kang has assured me this is not the case. She has seen the future and knows what will happen to me. I'm sure she would not let me come to harm. Once I have the last stone, and Tony interrupts and says, it's buried in the center of the earth, Reed. I have an army of hyper-intelligent Hybertrons digging around the clock. I will find it. Once I solve the overheating problem, which, correct me if I'm wrong, your various thermal dampening patents should aid me well with. And then Tony says, I made sure you'll never get them. In any event, I'll have all 8 stones, and then everyone will see. Yes, they certainly will. And so, pardon my ramble. That is why I am here, and you are there. And soon, you will not be. Well, you're completely bonkers. I mean, like, you're crazy and all that, but fuck. You think you're meant to be some what? Pan-dimensional god? Reed, please. What you're doing can't possibly work. It doesn't make any sense. Your so-called predecessor didn't save his universe. The negative zone is dying. You said so yourself. So maybe he was spared to warn us. Please, let me help you. The Maker gets frustrated and says, no more talking, Tony, and then pulls a piece of his brain out. Tony says, I don't want to die. And then the Maker tells him, there, that will keep you quiet for a while. In the next page we go to elsewhere, and we see Captain America. And he says, Clint, you waking up? And then we hear Clint say, so bright, my eyes, Steve. There's something wrong. I'm seeing wavelengths that don't exist. The light here, it's, where are we? And Captain America says, it's not bright in here, Clint. What did they do to my eyes? Kang enters the cell and says, aside from our fight, nothing. The light here has unique qualities that render your visual enhancements useless. And Captain America says, what the hell are you supposed to be? Steve, I'm a lady, please. Clint says, that thing is no lady. Mr. Barton, you and your friends are going to get pretty cozy in here. I'd think keeping your manners and class. Captain America says, lady, I've had enough. And then he grabs her by the throat and says, where are we and how do we get home? Please, Captain, you're embarrassing yourself. As Kang manages to disintegrate into thin air, Captain America says, damn it, where? And then Kang manages to reconstruct her foot and then starts kicking the crap out of Steve. As he says, let's not do this now. Captain America tries to get up and says, you can't keep us in here. No cage can stop us. As Kang starts to leave the cell room, she says, I'm sure, but to be fair, this is a very big cage. Captain America shouts, get back here, as Kang is making her escape, and she says, welcome. And then Captain America starts to see outside and says, what the hell? As Kang says, welcome to the negative zone. In the next page we go to Monica Chang being woken up by Nick Fury. For those of you who don't remember, Quicksilver took Tony Stark and brought him back to the Maker's facility, but he left Monica Chang in the SHIELD facility in the last issue. Nick Fury says, come on Monica, it's time to wake up. As she starts to do so, she says, what? Fury tells her, hello Director Chang, how are things? Monica says, I died and I'm in hell, right? Fury reassures her and says, no, you got knocked unconscious by Quicksilver and gave our genius to their genius. Now, are you ready to kick Reed Richards' ass for the last time? Monica says to Fury, like, that's going to take an army. You're going to open that door and show me an army, aren't you? And Fury's like, nah, that's not my style. I got something better. Then Fury reveals to Monica his new Howling Commandos, and he has a pretty solid team. He's got the Punisher, Falcon, Giant Woman, Dum Dum Dugan, Emil Blonsky, who doesn't actually turn into the Abomination in this. That's one downside to this comic. He actually isn't the Abomination. And we got Ghost, and I think I said Hercules already. Monica asks, who's the drunk guy? And Fury reveals to her and says, you're going up against a lunatic with godlike powers. Thor's a shadow of his former self, so I thought you could use a god of your own. Monica Chang, meet the son of Zeus. You've got to be kidding me. Hercules? Well, why not? Okay team. In the next page we go back to the Thing with Susan, and he says, I can't reach the base. Susan says, wait, what's that? And before they realize, it's Quicksilver who's come to incapacitate them. Susan shouts, look out, it's Quicksilver. Susan tries to build up a force field as quickly as possible before Quicksilver can do any damage to her, but she's just not quick enough. Quicksilver comes in and does really quick attacks towards her, and the Thing can't do anything. He shouts out for Susan, and she shouts out, what is he doing? It burns. Oh God. After Quicksilver defeats the Invisible Woman, he says, you know when you lick an envelope and cut your tongue on the edge? I just did that a few million times. Revealing he just gave her a few million paper cuts, so that must really hurt. The Thing says, buddy, you ain't fast enough as you think. Quicksilver goes in for the attack and chips away at the Thing's hide and says, I assure you, I am. Susan calls out for Ben, but before Ben could even swing for Quicksilver, he's already been defeated. So Quicksilver did the job. He incapacitated both of them in quick time too. The Maker was watching the entire fight go down, and he says, and that's that now. Tony tries to say, we'll stop you. Ah, Tony.
That's the can-do attitude I was looking for. Let's play a game. You tell me how you're going to win, and I'll tell you how you're wrong. And Tony says, Thor. I believe he's about to get smashed actually. Doesn't matter. In the next page we see the Dark Ultimates overcoming the heroes, like Ultimate Hulk wielding Ultimate Mjolnir, getting ready to defeat Thor with it. And Iron Man is debating with the Maker at the same time. And the Maker says, oh no, it very much matters. Without his godhood, Thor is just a man in a power suit. Listen to me, Richards, this isn't over. We will fight. We will stand up. Tony, hardly any of you are physically capable of standing up right now. Joke? Fine. Underestimate us. We fought invasions and monsters, vampires and clones, and we've always won. We will destroy you, Reed. That's the thing about us. But you're right. We are stupid, Reed. We're too stupid to know when we're beaten. So we're never gonna give up. The Maker interrupts Tony and says, oh, sorry. I turned off the oxygen pump before you could finish your keen speech. I severed everything below the C1, C2. Your heart is stopped. Your lungs have stopped. And well, goodbye, Antonio Stark. It's been a pleasure. As the Maker starts to leave and no one there to save Tony Stark, only a few seconds until his heart monitor stops beeping. And this, people, is the death of Ultimate Iron Man. Yes, people, that was Dark Ultimates Part 3. And when I told you they made some ballsy decisions in this story, I weren't joking. So I guess you probably want to know what happens next, right? Well, you gotta wait till next week. But in the meantime, make sure you drop a like if you're enjoying the videos, if you're enjoying the Dark Ultimates, and make sure you subscribe if you're fans of the Ultimate Universe. We are going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe as a lead up to the upcoming event, Ultimate Invasion, that drops this June 21st, and I will also be covering it the moment it gets released. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next one. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. And we are continuing our series of the Dark Ultimates, or Ultimate Comics, The Ultimate issue 28, which is a mouthful, and it's about the Dark Ultimates. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is or fans of the Ultimate Universe in general, this is the channel you want to be on. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe as a lead up to the upcoming event that drops next week as of recording this, Ultimate Invasion, and also Ultimate Universe this November. So if you haven't caught up with this story, do not worry, the playlist will be linked in the description box below and in the pinned comment below. But let's start part 4 of the Dark Ultimates. We begin with a Thor who's just gotten his ass kicked by Dark Ultimates Hulk, and I'm actually quite upset about this. Not because that Thor got defeated, it's his defeat happened off panel. In the last issue, you see Dark Ultimates Hulk wielding Ultimate Mjolnir, and he's about to win the fight, and we actually didn't see the conclusion of it. Whose idea was that to take that part of the fight out? Like, who doesn't want to see Hulk wielding Mjolnir defeating Thor with it? Oh God, Thor. What? What's wrong? Be glad you can't see him, Clint. Is he alive? Barely. Who the hell did this to him? The Maker speaks through one of his Herbitrons, and he says he challenged Bruce Banner and lost. God in heaven. Tell Richards I want to see him now. I'm here, Captain.
Don't get all huffy. We're not going to just sit here and let you have your way with the planet. Heh, have your way with... You're a delightful old fart, Steve. Behold! What are you gonna do? Let some damn robot do your... Oh, give me a break, man. It's a holographic projector. News of the world. We even had it made to be all timey-wimey, so you'd understand. Keep mocking me, boy. The Maker shows a holographic projection of his influence around the world. Dateline, Grozny. A military tribunal attempted to seize control over Parliament, threatening the lives of innocents. But thanks to Reed Richards' wonder machines, the Herbitrons, their threat soon became a thing of the past. Meanwhile, in Greece, Pietro Lencha Maximoff shows a few young athletes a thing or two about running. Captain America says, "What the hell is this supposed to prove?" "Oh, I can't believe a majority voted for you. We've made this planet a better place, and without a single shot being fired. Keep watching." Meanwhile, Bruce Banner finds himself back where he belongs, in a laboratory. But what is he working on? We'll find out in a moment. Captain America says, "You've stolen their freedom. I have set them free. You had your chance and lost." That Reed Richards, what a swell guy. But it's all fun and games. For example, across the world in the deepest parts of Africa, we see Bruce Banner and Herbitrons attending to crops in Africa. Bruce says, "To think, your people were starving days ago, and this? It's overwhelming. I spent my life wanting so desperately to do good, to do right, and I went so horribly wrong." What went wrong? I dunno. Ego, I suppose. To help people, to make the world a better place, and as Bruce is talking, a big explosion goes off in the background, and one of the workers says, "What was that?" The Death Squads. They did not take too kind to the change of leadership well. They're still trying to take back the village. I'll make sure they get the message. And as Bruce Banner says that, he activates a watch and it says, "Activating enzyme 34214. And this enzyme allows him to turn into the Hulk. And Bruce Banner says as he's transforming, "Banner to Alpha 1. I need additional platoon of Herbitrons dispatched to my location. I'll take the farmer bots in for the first round. We have hostiles attacking. I need all Herbitrons with me and in all attack mode now," as he turns into the Hulk and his uniform takes over his body as well. I have got to say, this is a badass design for Hulk. Like, I really like this suit. Hasbro, Marvel Legends, can you please make a figure of this? I would love this on my shelf. Like Big Man Ting, Dark Ultimates Hulk, Grey Hulk wearing a green maker suit. I dig it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Hulk runs into the field to see what happens, and he says, "Robots, begin triage." He takes a look at the scene and says, "Damn it, we're too late." The Hulk jumps into the air to see if there's anyone leaving the scene, and he sees one vehicle driving off, saying, "Bastards." He catches up to the vehicle, and as he's about to destroy the car, he says, "Hulk, smash!" smacking the car into the ground, derailing it completely. The Hulk grabs one of the soldiers from the wreckage and says, "Why? Why would you kill your own people?" As one of the soldiers says, "We were following orders." The Hulk starts to get angry and says, I don't know why we even bother trying to save you puny humans. And then his suit starts to talk to him and says, Dr. Banner, your hormone levels and pulse indicate a loss of control. Tranquilizers will be used in 5. As the Hulk continues, I was wrong. The reason I couldn't save or help people is because of scum like you. You deserve to die, and Hulk will count down in 4, 3, 2, 1. As the Hulk says, lucky shit, he drops the soldier, and his suit tells him, hormone levels returning to normal. Then the Hulk starts to revert back into Bruce, as he says, these guys are terrorists. They attacked a village half a mile back. Check for casualties and charge them accordingly. Lethal force if necessary. As the Herbatrons round up the soldiers, they scream for their lives, shouting no, as the Herbatrons disintegrate them. And Bruce Banner walks off into the woods and says, monsters, the whole damn species. In the next page we go to Kang and the Maker in his floating city. And Kang has just found out that the Maker has killed Tony Stark. And he says, you've killed him. It was necessary to extract the stone, Kang. It was necessary to protect your ego. This is not why I shared my knowledge with you. Herbie, 9324. I'm sending you an artificial brainwave duplicated from Stark. Try and feed it into the locks. This was not about turning you into a monster, Reed. It's about saving the world. I'm just making sure it's a world worth saving. Not world. Universe. Ugh. We're ready, Reed. Thank you, Reed. This universe is broken, Reed. It's corrupted. And soon will come down crashing around our heads, and you're rearranging deck chairs. I've seen what comes next. We've calculated every permutation of the future imaginable. And there is no hope for us. No hope but you. Once we have the last stone, the universe itself is ours to rebuild. Ahem. Interrupting something? Merely planning. And when do I get to find out about these plans of yours? You need to trust me, Pietro. I don't understand why we need them. Pietro. Damn it, Wanda. Shh. Pietro, my pet. They're not mutants. Hell, Richards and Banner are barely human. For those who are wondering why Quicksilver is calling Kang Wanda, is because he is going through hallucinations of him seeing his sister. In the Ultimate Universe, Scarlet Witch dies in the events of Ultimates 3 by Ultron, who shoots her with a special bullet that is designed to attack her DNA. This version of Ultron basically fell in love with Wanda, but he was manipulated by a fake version of Doctor Doom. This is not the official Ultimate Doctor Doom that we see in Ultimatum. That Doctor Doom is still trapped in the zombie or Marvel Zombie universe, and he actually comes back in Future Foundation later in the Ultimate Universe. We finally got confirmation about him seeing Wanda as an illusion in Ultimate Comics X-Men issue number 12, I believe. This is the issue where we see Ultimate Sinister and Ultimate Apocalypse make their return in the Ultimate Universe, and it shows that Quicksilver was hallucinating seeing Wanda and his father. But back to the story. Technically, I'm a being from a different dimension, and Banner, well, what he's done to himself makes him far from human. For future reference, can we adjust our eardrums to hear nearly at any volume? And I don't like you either, Pietro. You're a small-minded little pervert. Now, if you don't mind, we have some grown-up work to do. One of the Herbatrons gets onto the radio to the Maker and says, Dr. Richards, we've infiltrated the Stark armory. And one of the Maker clones says, fantastic. Thank you, Herbatron 2342A. The other Maker clone says, we need access to Stark's hybrid silicate thermal shielding if I'm going to get the last gem. Let's go and run a brainwave through the Hulkbuster suit. Good thinking, Reed. You can always use a gigantic suit of armor that can kill. And then we see Quicksilver in the background says, so glad you finally found someone you love, Richards. In the next page, we go to the Herbatrons infiltrating the Stark armory, and one of them says, sir, all security is offline. Excellent work, 2342A, and it says, it pleases us to please you. Prepare the upload of Herbatron OS 713, oh, I'm not even going to say all of that, to the armory. As the Herbatron uploads the brainwave into the system, a bolt of electricity goes into the robot, and then we see a holographic image of Iron Man's head in the robot and then goes inside of the system. And when this happens, the Herbatron says, detecting a rogue brainwave. With the upload complete, Tony's brainwaves have managed to take over the Stark system, and he says, hello losers. Thanks for the lift. Initiate self-destruct, as we see the Iron Man armor start to self-destruct by saying self-destructing in 3, 2, 1. And all of his armors start to explode, and it actually makes a big explosion outside of the building. And then we see the Maker see the explosion, and he looks scared. And in a moment of panic, the Maker shouts, do not feed the brainwave into the Hulkbuster. Block all the transmissions into and out of Alpha 1 immediately. Shield the Hulkbuster from any radio waves immediately. Filter out all non-Alpha 1 signals now. Your body should serve as an effective shield against the transmission. That's the plan. Yes. You said there were no booby traps. I'm sorry, Reed. I detected nothing. Hold on. As the Maker starts to look through his systems, he says, huh? Back away from it. The signal wasn't radio. It was originated by Tony Stark, a millisecond before detonation. That's impossible. Tony Stark is dead. And starting to stink. Yes. Curious. No signal breach? Hulkbuster armor is safe? I will commence our backup plans. Quicksilver, sending you coordinates. In the next page, we go to New York, Midtown, and we see a lady walking down the street. And one of the Herbatrons catches her and says, attention citizen, you are in violation of curfew. Please, I missed my bus. You are in violation of curfew. As we see two arms coming in from behind, as the Herbatron says, citizen, please do not approach from behind, and before he could finish his sentence, someone comes in and just smashes the robot to pieces. And that person says, finally, the feeling of crushed steel in my hands. And then we see the howling commandos behind him. Nick Fury says, calm yourself, Hercules. Sweetheart, you need to get out of here. We have incoming, as a platoon of Herbatrons come towards their location. The Herbatrons come down from the sky saying, citizens, please remain a safe distance back. A terrorist group has been discovered. Howling Commandos? Seriously, Nick? Ugh, my ex-wife Monica Chang, ladies and gentlemen. Still cramping my style. And you're a misogynistic... Seriously, Marvel? Where in this comic has Nick Fury been misogynistic? Where? Even Stevens. Ugh. Attack! The Howling Commandos go full head-on assault with the Herbatrons, and they all dish out some serious damage. Hercules goes in for the headlock on one of the robots and says, "Never mind. This bores me as much as all of the necks that I've snapped." And Nick Fury's like, "I'm so glad another god has been bitching at me." And if you've been paying attention to the names on this page, we've also got a very special and brief cameo. And we have Ultimate Danny Catch, who is the Ghost in the Ultimate Universe. He's not a Ghost Rider, but he seems to have the ability to spit out flames from his mouth. And in the Ultimate Universe, he really loves his job. In the next page, we go to Manhattan Medical Center, and we see that Quicksilver is on his way there, and the Maker tells him over the radio, "You understand, yes? You must keep him alive during transport." I'm not an imbecile, Reed. Could have fooled me. Ultimate Kang randomly appears around Quicksilver and says, "We need to talk, Pietro." "Not now, I'm busy." "We can't just let your feelings dictate our behavior. You've done that before. I told you I'm fine. You can't run from the truth, and you can't run from me. I have my hands full keeping Reed Richards under control, and I can't keep worrying about you too. Just let me do my job and be done with it. I'm sick of this." "Richards, I found him." "Excellent. Get him back here and prep him for surgery. We've got our fireproof drone." In the next page, we go to the Negative Zone prison cell with 3 of the Ultimates and the Herbatron. Thor says, "By Volstag's nethers, what hit me?" "The Hulk, I think. But normally, he hits like a tiny serving wench. You had us worried. I may near be a god again, but I'm tough enough to survive being hit by that malformed troll." "Where are we? Trapped in a parallel universe waiting to die?" "Ah, so things haven't turned around yet. Your eyes? Don't worry about it. I've still got my other 4 senses. So, impossible odds, grievous bodily injuries, and killer robots. Tis. A shame Stark's not here." Tony manages to take over the Herbatron in the cell, and he says, "Is this thing on? Can you guys hear me?" "Tony?" As Tony explains his plan, we see Quicksilver bringing this mysterious patient to the Maker. And Tony says, "I don't know how long this will last, so listen up. I've got access to Reed's systems barely. I'm on the run in here. I'm monitoring all of his conversations, and I think I've determined his weak spot. I've been clogging up his communication network as best I can, and Fury has sent his men on the move. I should probably say hi, but if everything goes according to plan, I should have you back before he gets the last gem and destroys the universe. If not, well, we're all dead anyways." The Maker is starting to catch on and says, "Tony, what the hell are you up to?" Rogers says, "Tony, what the hell are you up to? The last gem? The one Hydra lost in the Earth? They found someone strong enough to withstand the heat and get it back. We have to stop them. Who?" And then we see Quicksilver delivering this mysterious patient to the Maker, prepping him for surgery. And we can see the Maker making all of these extra limbs to do so. And he says, "Wakey, wakey." And then we find out the mysterious patient is Johnny Storm. And the Maker says, "Welcome to the Ultimates, Johnny Storm." As Tony tells the rest of the Ultimates, Sue's brother, the Human Torch, Reed found him in some hospital across town. He got injured during that mutant camp nonsense. And Captain America asks him, "Tony, how do you know all this? Where are you?" And then it takes us to the Tony Stark armory, and as Tony says, "You know, around, and then we start to see one of the armors start to rebuild itself. Iron Man system online. Welcome back, Mr. Stark. And Tony says, not Stark, Iron Man. And that is the end of part 4 of the Dark Ultimates. So, that was Dark Ultimates part 4. And I've got to say, this is probably the weakest issue of the series. It's not bad, but we did get some missed opportunities, and we also did get a cop-out. So with the missed opportunity was the conclusion of Ultimate Hulk versus Thor. That would have been a great moment to see. I would have personally loved to see Ultimate Hulk wield Ultimate Mjolnir a little bit more. And then also, the death of Antonio Stark was a cop-out. Even though it was serious and it did add to the plot, and it also adds to the plot in the next issue, but it was still a cop-out nonetheless. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you guys enjoy this issue, or did you not? But before I go, I have got to say, if you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe on the channel, and I'm also going to be doing this as a lead up to the upcoming events of Ultimate Invasion and Ultimate Universe. We are only 7 days, people, until we get to see the continuation of the Ultimate Universe again. So I just want to say thank you for all of the continued support, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. And today we are starting part 5 of the Dark Ultimates. If you are new to the channel or fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. I cover the Ultimate Universe, and I'm covering Ultimate Invasion as well. I'm a big fan of it on this channel, and sometimes I upload some of my music on here, which I'm going to be doing real soon. But without further ado, let's start part 5 of the Dark Ultimates. We begin with Ultimate Quicksilver running, and he's narrating over the situation. And he says, 17 seconds, that's what we have. I'll say it fast. When I lost you, I lost everything. Understand that. Understand that I am nothing without you. I'm less than nothing. I'm the scared little boy that Papa would laugh at. The skinny, no good for anything except for running. And every day since you died, that's all I've been doing. In the next page we see Quicksilver run to the Gem Retrieval Center, and he says, "Reed, I'm approaching the dig site." And the Maker responds with, "Good, Quicksilver. Bring Johnny as deep as you can, and I'll begin remote manipulation." Quicksilver says in his head, "Everything I do for you. Dead or alive, you're the only one that matters." And then he says, "Done. Thank you. Okay, this is going to be impressive. Quicksilver, I'd recommend running away very fast. Johnny Storm is about to go supernova." And then we see him explode, and we see this massive bright light as Quicksilver tries to run away from the blast. As Quicksilver runs away from the blast, he continues to narrate and says, "When you came to me as Kang, I was so happy. But it was all a lie. And the truth has crushed me." And this gives us confirmation that Quicksilver knows that Ultimate Kang is not his sister, Wanda Maximoff. In the next page we go to the Howling Commandos in Manhattan, and we see Hercules wrestling with one of the Herbitrons, and he says, "Ha! You crumble before the might of Hercules." Giant Woman asks, "How many Herbitrons are coming, Falcon?" "They're just sitting there." "Oh, guys, Up in the sky, a helicarrier shoots out a giant projectile that's going towards the heroes. Falcon asks, "Is that a rocket?" "That ain't no rocket, Falcon." And then we see a giant Hulkbuster suit come out and say, "Target acquired. Destroy Nick Fury and Howling Commandos." After the Howling Commandos realize it's one of the Hulkbusters, Punisher tries to destroy it with one of his rockets, but Chang tries to hold him off. But before he could fire it off, we see Iron Man come in to save the day. Iron Man flies in and blasts the Hulkbuster suit in the middle of the sky and says, "I got this one." And Frank Castle's like, "The hell? Stark, how the—" "Long story. I'm dead and I transferred my brain into the power grid." Not such a long story. One sec. "Oh, and Nick, you got yourself a brand new gang of psychopaths. Good for you." As he continues to tear into the Hulkbuster suit, he continues and says, "You know, this is my last favorite person on Earth made for me. And Reed turning it against my friends really pisses me off," as he smashes into the Hulkbuster armor. In the next page we go to the Negative Zone prison block, and we see the Ultimates trying to escape. Captain America asks, "Tony, you still there?" "A little busy, helping Nick and the crew. Hold on, let me access the security system." Iron Man says, "Okay, I got the schematic up, I think." "Damn it. Tony, focus. We can't open the cell." Okay. Got it. Cool. We can handle this from here. Thor, help Hawkeye. Cap, I'll have a portal to our reality open in about 15 minutes, or not at all. One or the other. I'll do my best to follow along. As the Ultimates break out of the jail cell, Iron Man says, "Oh, and watch out for the killer robots." Ugh, when I get back to our reality, I'm going to stab Stark in the face. And Thor says, "Aye, 'tis a worthy face of stabbing." Yeah, I can still hear you, you know. In the next page we go back to the battle between Ultimate Iron Man and the Hulkbuster suit. The Hulkbuster tears Iron Man to pieces and says target acquired and destroyed. But Iron Man, not having a physical body, says, "Okay, no body, all consciousness, means I can reform my armor." Cool. And the Hulkbuster tries to engage and says, "Engaging repulsor array." Yeah, repulsor array doesn't work if you can't fire it. This is going to hurt you more than it hurts me. And then he flies down into the Hulkbuster, causing a giant explosion in the sky. And Tony says, "Or not." We go to Alpha 1, where we see the clones of the Maker and Kang. Kang says, "Time is short, Reed. We need the final stone." Extraction is minutes away. Quicksilver is waiting for Johnny to finish. And our girlfriend and her boyfriend are healing nicely. And one of the Makers says, "There's been an explosion outside. Reed, the end zone cell is empty." What? The Hulkbuster is offline and we've lost Fury. There are literally 5 of me. How will we... And then Kang interrupts and says, "Concentrate, Reed. We just need the last gem and we can fix..." As the Maker interrupts her and says, "Other Reeds, deal with this and find the Ultimate and get Banner back here." Jeez, why has he got to bust us around? Yeah, no joke. The Maker says, "Must you speak to me like a child? From my perspective, you are. I spent 1,000 years creating my own species of humanity, and you're like, what, 45? Oh, I'm not that far from in the future, Reed. Reed, there's a change in the thermal pressure at the excavation point. Excellent. We'll find the final Infinity Stone shortly, as we see Tony Stark's hanging body in the background. We go back to the center of the Earth right after Johnny Storm went supernova, and Quicksilver is still narrating over the situation, and he says, "I wanted you back so badly. You told me that Banner and Richards were necessary, that this was the only way for mutants to survive. With the stones you promised we can rebuild what was been lost, fix the mistakes our father Magneto made, the mistakes I had made. Richard is 10 times the madman our father was, and yet, with a single word, I followed him. I followed because you asked me to. I believed you." And as he's saying all of this, he's going up to Johnny Storm and takes the Infinity Stone away from him. Quicksilver finally understands what is going on, and he says, "But it wasn't you, was it? I figured it out when I saw Reed's calculations. I'm not smart, I know that, but I am fast. I can do the math on sheer repetition alone. I ran the math nearly 100,000 times as well, and then we find out Kang realizes her cover's been blown, and she says, 'Damn it.' As Quicksilver runs out, the Maker says, 'Pietro?' And I had saw what we had wrought, and what would happen if I handed the stone to Reed Richards. A universe without mutants." And then Quicksilver gets knocked over by Kang. Kang says to Quicksilver, "I'm so sorry, Pietro, but you need to stop. Who are you? Who are you really, Kang? Who I need to be to save mankind. I've fine-tuned my powers so I can manipulate light and break apart matter. But what about us? What about the mutants? You need to understand, Pietro, the mutants would have only moved the world towards death faster. Even in remaking the world, we must make corrections." Quicksilver, enraged by the revelation, says, "You're going to make sure mutants never existed. You're committing genocide." Oh, hot meat kettle. How many times did you and your friends try to eradicate mankind? Besides with the stone, everyone remained unaffected by the mutant virus. You'll live your life as an ordinary human. Quicksilver says no, as Kang takes the stone away from him, and she says, "Damn it, I said stop. The stone is mine and this is over." As Quicksilver says, "I have lost too much to die laying down." And Kang says, "I hope to find another way to do this, but it is what it is. Pietro, please, don't fight this. I'm blocking your nerve cluster so you won't move or feel this." As Quicksilver tries to run in and get the Infinity Stone, he says, "Send me to her then. Send me to Wanda." As Kang says, "I'll make this quick." And then she impales him through the chest with some sort of energy blade as she gets the final stone and says, "Within 30 seconds, you'll be gone." In the next page, we go back to Alpha 1 with the Maker, and he is panicking. He says, "Where are the Ultimates? Where is Fury? Where is Quicksilver? And where is the final stone? How is this happening? We control everything. We're the smartest man on Earth." And Iron Man comes on the screen and says, "Well, second smartest. Stark. Maybe third after Sam Wilson, certainly." And then there's this young Asian kid called Cho. He's pretty good too. So fifth, definitely. Probably fifth. Well, there's Banner too, so... "But you're dead. Where are you? How are you doing this?" As the 8th or 9th smartest man on the planet, I'm sure you figured that out. That the exposure to the cosmic radiation off the stone altered my neural network and made it plug and play. And then the Maker straight up panics and says, "Need all of me now." And notice, people, when the Maker is panicking, he makes a lot of mistakes here. Of course you're some sort of electrical representation of Tony Stark. You've managed to cross into the grid, which means all I have to do is this. But before he could finish his sentence, the thing says, shut it, and punches the Maker. Iron Man says, hey look Reed, something you're surely lacking. Friends, Dr. Storm and Captain Ben Grimm, you okay? Right as rain. Thanks for getting us out of those damn tubes. They were keeping us alive. God knows why. And then the Maker responds with, because I love you, Sue. For God's sake, don't you get it? As he comes together and gets all of these weird tendrils to wrap around the Thing and Invisible Woman. We go back to Quicksilver as he's dying and he's narrating. But I've got to admit, despite this character's really dodgy history in the Ultimate Universe, I actually do feel quite sorry for him here. He says, I'm doing this for you. I did this for you, Wanda. I'm bleeding very badly now. My metabolism can normally heal me, but this is beyond my heart. Just won't heal. I'm not making any sense. I know. I just wanted you to know. All I wanted was to fix the world and give you a piece or a place worthy of your beauty and kindness. But no such place can exist, Wanda. No such place. I understand Quicksilver isn't very intelligent, but you don't have to be a genius to know, regardless of what multiversal tampering you do, there will never be a universe where it is okay to fuck your sister. Sorry, it's never gonna happen, big man. In the next page, Quicksilver continues to run. And while this is happening, he's narrating as we see other characters in the story. And he says, there's a story from when we were kids. Mama Maximoff would tell us. You remember? And then in the next panel we see the Maker and Tony. And he says, damn you. Come on, smart guy. Beat me. And the Quicksilver continues and says, about the rocks skipping on the pond. How they will always keep on moving and moving, always racing to make it from one side to the other. And the rocks were terrified that if they was to stop, they'd sink, and they'd die, and they'd be alone forever and ever. But the rocks, when they sunk, they went down and down and down, and then when they were at the bottom, they were found they weren't alone. All of their friends who'd skipped across the pond before them had been waiting for them. 17 seconds, that's what we have. I'll say this fast. As he slowly gets to Wanda Maximoff's gravesite and gets ready to die there. In the next page we go back to the Maker freaking out, and he shouts, all Herbitrons, Alpha 1 is under attack. Banner, I need you here now. Kang? And then when he says that, the lights go out. He says, damn it, the lights. Fine, let's do this then. Why don't you fight me like a man? Come on, Stark. You scared? Iron Man claps back and says, really? I'm a dead body and you have the most powerful weapons in theory in the universe. That doesn't really reek of fair now, does it? Yes. Taunt me. I will most likely put down my reality bending gloves and try to sock you in the nose, moron. Some plan, Tony. I killed you once. I can do it again. This isn't a plan, Reed. A plan is something you do on purpose. This is me being smarter than you, asshole. And then Iron Man turns on all the lights, and then the Maker finds himself completely surrounded by the heroes. And Sue says, game's over, Reed. We've tried to reason with you, and now we're going to put you down. And Iron Man says, in other words, checkmate. But before the heroes can take the Maker down, Kang comes and arrives, and she says, "Actually, I don't think so," and blinds everybody in the room while the Maker has a giant smug smile on his face. Kang says, "I've travelled from the end of the universe itself," and Susan says, "Your voice, to make sure all of us survive." As she says, "It can't be," and then we find out Ultimate Kang is an alternate version of Susan Storm from a different timeline. And she says, "Even if I have to kill every last one of you to do it," as Susan Storm shouts, "Kang is me." And that is where part 5 of the Dark Ultimates concludes. Oh boy! Now that's a cliffhanger, ain't it, people? So yes, Ultimate Kang is a different version of Ultimate Sue Storm. So yes, there is no Nathaniel Richards, and yes, there is a lot more to the story in the conclusion that we are going to get next week. But I have got to say, people, if you have not read this story run, it's called The Ultimates, or Ultimate Comics, The Ultimates Disassembled. It's from issue 25 to issue 30. I highly recommend this run to anybody. It is a fantastic story, and it talks a lot about the Ultimate Universe and its place in the multiverse as well. And we're also going to get the conclusion to the story in the next episode. So thank you very much for watching this. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you are fans of the Ultimate Universe, I upload content surrounding it and Ultimate Invasion and its upcoming comics as well. So this is definitely the channel you want to be on if you're an Ultimate Universe fan. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.
What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be doing the final chapter of the Dark Ultimates, or the official title, Ultimate Comics The Ultimates issue 30. And this is the beginning of the end of the Ultimate Universe. So this is the first stepping stone towards Secret Wars 2015, and this is basically the Ultimate Universe's character's perspective on figuring that out. So this has a lot of good action, a lot of stuff happens in this issue, so make sure you got yourself a drink and some food, because this issue is a banger, people. But before we start, if you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe or Ultimate Invasion, I covered Ultimate Universe on the channel. I do breakdowns, and I'm also covering Ultimate Invasion as well, where I give my theories on what's going on potentially, and so on and so forth. But enough of all the talking, let's start the climactic ending of the Dark Ultimates. We begin with Ultimate Kang 1 week after Ultimatum, and she says, "I know this is hard to believe, but I also know you will at least listen. I'm from the future, Reed. I've seen what's coming, and I know that if things don't go differently, this universe will die. It's worse than your theories. It's coming now. A cataclysm. Only this suit kept me shielded as you pushed me through time. This suit you built for me. Your last act. Your last desperate act was to send me back here to talk to you now. To start this earlier before it's too late. Reed Richards, you're the only hope for all of existence. I need you to be the man that I fell in love with." Reed tells her, "You broke up with me. That part needed to happen. You and I analyzed the time stream. We found the moment that everything goes wrong. And it's soon." "Right. I understand, but you already broke up with me." "Reed, seriously. Apocalypse talk takes precedence. I know. I'm saying we're already going down this path." Kang tries to reassure Reed and says, "There's something that could help us though. an energy source in the form of gems. They appear in every other layer of reality that we've explored. But by our estimates, they're going to be thousands of years late. "Don't touch me," says Reed. "I've done this before. Parallel Earths, time travel. I can't help you." And then Kang says, "Fine, I'll show you," as she tries to show Reed a vision of what's to come. Kang shows Reed a dimension of nothingness, of showing what happens when a universe dies. And he says, "There's nothing. It was consumed. All of it. I escaped as the last star died. What could possibly..." The walls came down, and the universe itself crumbled. Reed says, "I'm sorry, Susan, but I just don't believe you. I just can't believe." And she says, "That's why I love you, Reed. You're too smart for your own good. But we're going to do terrible things, Reed, but we'll save everything," as she goes up to him and then kisses him. In the next page, we go back to where the last issue ended, and that's when Ultimate Kang made her appearance to the heroes. But Susan Storm says, "How? I'm you from the future, Sue. Come on, get with it. If I'm you, then that means you can't kill me," as she tries to use one of her force field attacks on the Maker and Kang. But Nick Fury sees an opening and says, "Commandos, take them down." But the Maker also is ready for battle, and he says, "Hulk, Quicksilver, here, now." As they both get teleported in, the Hulk is ready for battle. But the Maker realizes something. Pietro? Dead? How? Ultimate Thing tries to go in for a punch on the Maker and says, "You got bigger problems, pal." But the Hulk saves the Maker and grabs onto the Ultimate Thing and shouts, "Hulk smash, Purple Rock Man." The Maker tries calling in reinforcements and says, "All Herbitrons to Alpha 1 command level." But Iron Man prevents this and says, "All Herbitrons self-destruct." In the Maker's frustration, Iron Man says, "What? You're trying to kill us?" As the Maker sees Iron Man and shouts, "There is no try." But Iron Man blasts him and says, "You are such a nerd." As the battle continues between the heroes and the villains, Iron Man says, "Fury, down 20 levels from here, a factory making these stupid robots. Take your guys and trash it." And then we see Fury say, "Commandos, let's go." But we also see Kang fighting Sue, as she says, "I can't kill you, but I can sure as hell hurt you." As Sue says, "How? How did I become a monster?" "Not a monster, a savior," says Kang. "Then let us help you." "You can't. You help and the universe ends," as they're both having a force field battle. And while this is going down, Dark Ultimate's Hulk is fighting Ultimate Thing, and he shouts, "Fall down." But the Thing with his brave heart says, "Punch harder then." And as the situation goes from bad to worse, Johnny Storm, who is under mind control, steps into the battlefield. And Kang says, "Ah, good. Reinforcements. Thank you, baby brother." And as Ultimate Storm looks shocked, she shouts for Johnny. As Ultimate Thing is trying to get out of a headlock, he witnesses Johnny Storm fighting his sister. And he says, "I'm coming to help you, Susie." As Susan is using her force fields to hold her brother back, she says she don't need it. As Kang has one of the Infinity Stones in her possession, she says to Reed, "Reed, throw me the gauntlets." "No, throw me the gems, Sue." And Iron Man says, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." "You can't do this, Reed. I've told you, only I can..." "Give me that damn stone," says Susan Storm, as she knocks Kang out of the way, and then Captain America comes in and says, "I got it."
And the Maker shouts in his frustration, "No, I need it." With the Infinity Stone in hand, Captain America lands in a bunch of Herbitrons, and Thor tries to come in and save him, and he says, "Captain," as he's fighting them off, "no good without my harness. I'm not strong enough." And then Iron Man says, about that, look what I can do." As one of the Herbitron's metal and wires start to devour Thor, he says, with a little of Reed's future tech and some you know how, Thor is shocked and wondering what is the meaning of this, and then he realizes all of that technology that's wrapping around him is making a new Mjolnir and armor for him. As soon as Ultimate Thor gets his upgrade, a giant storm ensues and blows up every ship in the sky and sets off all the lights. And some of the team members are like, "Stark, what the hell was that?" And he responds with, "We've got a thunder god again. Thor is back at full power. Where's the Herbitron factory you said?" Just a few more feet away, Chang. Just get ready." We have a little funny moment here. So Monica Chang decides to go take point to see what's in the other room. She looks in the other room, right? And then she just comes out of that room looking shocked, saying, castle?" And then he's like, "Fun time?" "Yeah, I'd say so, especially what's in the next room." And then Hercules is like, "Unfair, the son of Zeus wants to have fun." As Punisher says, "Shut it." Giant Woman's like, "This is going to be bad." Frank, listen. Quiet, Ketch. Enough of you. By the way, Danny Ketch in the Ultimate Universe is not Ghost Rider. And he's like, "I'm just saying, there's enough to go around." This is probably the best moment Ultimate Punisher and Hercules ever got in the Ultimate Universe. So both of them walk into the Herbitron factory, ready for battle. And then Frank Castle's like, "Hey Hercules." "Yes, Frank?" "The first one to 3,000 kills wins." And Hercules is like, "Verily. But hold on. Falcon hears that, right? And he says, 'You guys are all such wusses,' and it gets ready to start fighting." But that's not all, folks. We go back to Ultimate Thor with his new upgraded hammer and armor. And I have got to say, Dan Yoon at the Marvel Legends team, please, can we get this as a Marvel Legend? I would love this on my shelf. With all the energy flowing through him, Thor says, if Odin's rage isn't enough to stop them, then Thor's will have to do. Let's see what this hammer can really do. As Captain America says, "Thor, a little help over here?" "On my way, Captain." Before Thor even gets to swing his hammer, all of the Herbitrons get headshotted by blind Hawkeye, and he says, "Yeah, I got them, even in blind," as we see Captain America shout, "Heads up, Hawkeye, ugly rock monster coming in," as we see Ultimate Thing in his purple form being thrown at Hawkeye by Ultimate Hulk, and he says, "I couldn't transform in time." And another badass moment from one of my favorite characters. Dark Ultimate's Hulk is ready for battle, outnumbered and running towards the heroes, and he says, "Come on, let's go, all of you." And then we see the heroes look at him and say, "I like these odds. Let's do it." True that. And as we see Ultimate Thing transform into his Rocky form, he says, "Hey Hulky, it's clobbering time." The battle between the Ultimates and the Dark Ultimates is on, but we see Susan Storm with her brother, and he says, "Sue, where am I?" "You're alive, Johnny. Can you fight?" And he says, "Hell yes." And as we see all of the heroes try to fight the Hulk, we see Kang trying to tell the Maker, "Listen to me, Reed. We don't have time. It's coming." "No, I'm the only one who can handle this. If you use the gauntlets, everyone dies." "Come on, Reed. She's right. You're way too stupid to handle them.
Go to hell, Stark. And as we see the Maker try to elongate his tongue and tries to grab all of the stones, he says, "You're making me do this. Reed, only seconds left, please." As we see a massive fiery explosion happen, caused by Johnny Storm. Ultimate Johnny Storm says, "Hey jerk, nobody lays a finger on my sister. Gems coming your way, Stark." And he says, "Got it. Thanks, kid." First things first, Gems. As Iron Man puts all of the Infinity Stones into his Iron Man body, Iron Man resurrects his human form and says, "Great, now body." Wakey wakey, hands off shaky. And then we see Iron Man come back to life as Tony Stark again, and he takes a big grasp for air, and then we see the armor and the Infinity Stones wrap around his resurrected body, and says, "Armor, now." And now that Ultimate Iron Man is back at 100% again, he says, "Reed Richards, you're done." As the resurrected Ultimate Iron Man is looking at the Maker and Kang, he says, "Huh? What's up with the weird energy spike?" And because that Iron Man used the Infinity Stones, he sees, and everyone sees, visions of themselves from different universes. We see the classic Avengers, Fantastic Four, Thor as well, and then he's like, "Oh crap. What the hell is happening? I can feel my insides are being ripped out as all of the heroes are struggling to understand what they're seeing and what's going on." And then Ultimate Kang reveals, "No, it's too late. We failed." And then the Maker says, "No, we can fix this. The Gauntlets are useless." Iron Man's wondering, what the hell? They're shattering. As Kang tells him, "I have to go back further. I have to try again. Have to make things right. Have to save the future. Susan, if you stay with Ben Grimm, the world is doomed. Understand this. Your destiny lies with Reed. I hope you all fare better than we did. Goodbye, Ultimates." And then we see Ultimate Kang teleport away, and the Maker says, "Alpha 1, power down. It's over." The Ultimate Howling Commandos still shocked to see what's happened, and we see all of them have a say. Fury wonders, what's going on? Ketch says, "I think we just won." "Go us," says Giant Woman, as we see all of the Herbitrons are powering down. Her Ultimate Hercules says, "Tonight, we feast upon the flesh of animals and the bodies of women." Well, if you're into that. Iron Man walks up to the defeated Maker as he is saying, "All dead. So many dead. So many dead." As Iron Man responds, "Oh, so now you care? You don't understand that. Energy flux was just the beginning." As Iron Man says, "The beginning of what?" "The end of the universe. It's breaking apart. You've doomed us all, Tony Stark." In the next page, we go to the next day at Alpha 1, and we could see that S.H.I.E.L.D. is taking over the Maker's facilities. And we see Monica Chang and Fury as he asks, "Now what, Director Chang?" "We rebuild, Nick." "You know, he did make things better." As Monica Chang responds, "So, Reed Richards was your kind of dictator?" "No, Monica. In a couple of days, he did more good than we've ever done in 10 years. He was a genocidal maniac, and he's where he needs to be, Nick. I need you to do the same. You and your team are leaving for Europe at 1800 hours. European vacation? Europe is in chaos, and what's left of the Captain program needs our help.
getting back under control. Whatever's coming, we can handle it. I promise you. As Nick Fury says, I know. We'll survive, Nick. As we see in the next page, we go to the cube in the superhuman holding facility. We see the Maker without his helmet and in his ultimate Fantastic Four suit. But someone's come to see him, and she says, "Hello, Reed." We find out that this person is Ultimate Susan Storm, and she says, "We need to talk." And he replies, "You'll understand, Susan. Soon you'll understand." "I'll never understand the things you did, Reed. You could have done so much, made the world a better place. Hell, you did it, but how you did it. But that's not why I'm here." And the Maker asks, "You've detected an anomaly?" "Yes. In the furthest reaches of space. Something I thought was the Galactus swarm at first, but it's something else. Bigger, more power. It's heading this way, Reed. It sent us a message. One single word." And the Maker asks, "What word?" And that word to end off the story is hunger. And yes, people, 616 Galactus has made his way to the Ultimate Universe, and we will see that story continue in Ultimate Cataclysm. So let's give our review on the Dark Ultimates run. So this is Ultimate Comics The Ultimates Disassembled from issue 25 to issue 30. And I have got to say, it is by far one of my favorite runs of all time in the Ultimate Universe. I would say this is definitely the top 3 of my Ultimate Comics stories for the Ultimates. For me, it's the first Ultimate story, Ultimates 1, and then I've got to give it to Jonathan Hickman's Ultimates, and then I've got to give it to the Dark Ultimates, and then it's Ultimates 2 for me, and I'm not talking about 3. So, for me, I love this. Another thing that I really like about the Dark Ultimates is they didn't just portray them as your generic hero. They have motivations throughout this entire story. Like, Pietro, before he got killed off, was really trying to bring his sister back and tried to find a haven for mutants. But that wasn't all that Ultimate Kang told him, because she tried to get rid of all of the Ultimate Mutants, and the Maker just wanted to be in control of a brand new universe. But they all had the same goal in mind, and that was trying to make a better world for them to all live in. But unfortunately, their hubris got to the better of them, as we see in the ending of the story. Another thing as well, we get to see loads of characters. So we get the Dark Ultimates, the Ultimates, bits of the Fantastic Four, and the Howling Commandos. And in those the Ultimate Howling Commandos, we've got Ultimate Nick Fury, Ultimate Frank Castle, the Punisher, Ultimate Danny Catch, the Ghost, who spits out fire, and we've also got Ultimate Giant Woman, who else was the Ultimate Giant Woman, and Ultimate Hercules, who were absolute badasses throughout this. Even though they were probably they didn't really show up very often, but when they did show up, they were doing something. Like, they were fighting, or they were out here trying to destroy shit, or they were still out here fighting. So for me, seeing multiple characters in here, and even some like unique twists. So another thing that I really love, and I'm hoping we get a Marvel Legends figure of, is Dark Ultimate's Hulk. So I love that jumpsuit, the grey skin and the green Maker jumpsuit. Yes, please, Marvel Legends, can we get a figure of that and of Ultimate Thor upgraded? Actually, in fact, can we get more Ultimate Universe figures in general? Because we ain't got a lot. Like, I've got so many Ross Clark Spider-Man figures. We've got so many MCU figures. We've got 2099 figures. We've got different universes, except Ultimate Marvel. Except the Ultimate... Can you believe it? Marvel Legends have not released an Ultimate Hulk figure.
or an Ultimate Reed Richards figure. We ain't got a Maker figure yet. We ain't got that, but we need that. But anyway, I would definitely say if you have not read this story, and if you've just been reading or been watching the videos, I'd highly recommend go picking this up. Because it's a fun little story, you get some Ultimate Universe lore, and it also explains its place in the multiverse of Marvel as well. And it's not just the ending, this is the stepping point towards Secret Wars 2015, where the Ultimate Universe would eventually get destroyed. So this is the first stepping stone. Everybody talks about Cataclysm, but they never talk about the Dark Ultimates. Like go out there, loads of people talk about Cataclysm was like when Galactus came, but they don't actually talk about the story before that, which was the stepping stone to Cataclysm as well. So hopefully the story actually does get some limelight, because this run came out when the reader base was pretty much gone. If not a lot of people actually know that, and I don't blame them, because by the time this story came out, the reader base wasn't there. Ultimate 3 and Ultimatum was not getting retconned, and they just wanted to stick with it, which was a very stupid decision, Marvel. And basically they tried to reboot the Ultimate Universe with like Ultimate Marvel Now, and then we had like Ultimate Future Foundation. But this was actually one of the few last good stories to come out of the Ultimate Universe in its last phase. Like, I mean, the last good comics, I would probably say, and even though I don't even like Miles, I would say it was probably Jonathan Hickman's run, which is like one story or two stories before this, because there is United We Stand, Divided We Fall. That sucks. Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that one. And then it's like Dark Ultimates, and before those two, it's Jonathan Hickman's. And I understand, yeah, by that time, like, everyone was gone. But, like, we did have Miles Morales Spider-Man. We'd had bits of the Ultimates. And honestly, I don't think there was any good comics after that. I am gonna be 100% with you. Don't get interested in this Cataclysm. That's good. That's very good. But anything else besides the Ultimates and Cataclysm and Ultimate Spider-Man in like the last phase of the Ultimate Universe sucked. Like, I'm telling you, like, there was Miles Pork Hammis. So yes, there was a universe where like animal versions of the Ultimate Universe came, and Miles Morales was a pig, and Hulk was a giant green rage bunny. That actually sounds kind of fun. I can't even lie. It kind of sounds fun, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. So, if I was to give the Dark Ultimates a rating, I would give it a solid 9. Like, it's damn near perfect. Nearly. But you guys remember all those issues I spoke about, and that was when old Dark Ultimates Hulk was wielding Ultimate Mjolnir to defeat Ultimate Thor. Automatic L. The reason I give that an L is because we did not get to see that defeat on page or panel. We only got to see the aftermath of that violation. I got to take a point away from that. But for me, it is a 9. I love this run. I could go back to this run multiple times and be like, yo, remember when I bought this run? I'm so glad I bought this run. But anyway, folks, I've given my review of the Dark Ultimates. I've also done the Dark Ultimates line. Now it's time for you to let me know what you guys think of it. What do you want next? I've got Ultimate Invasion issue number 2 tonight. But what other Ultimate story do you want? Do you want me to continue with Cataclysm, or would you like me to do another Ultimate Universe story? So also, it cannot be Ultimate Spider-Man because we're doing Ultimate Spider-Man. So something we're not doing at the moment. We can continue with the rest of the Ultimates, because I still need to finish Ultimates 1. Or we can move on to like something a little bit more fun. Perhaps say Ultimate Wolverine versus Hulk. Perhaps? You know what to do in the comments below. thank you very much for watching this video and the Dark Ultimate series, and of course all of your continued support on the channel. I make content surrounding the Ultimate Universe and the upcoming series of Ultimate Invasion and a one-shot of Ultimate Universe coming later this year, where I do breakdowns, theories, speculations, and we also do other comics as well surrounding the Ultimate Universe. And I'm also going to be uploading content surrounding Marvel, bits of the MCU if you guys are like that as well, where I also talk about the stuff in Hollywood. But thank you very much for watching this video and this series, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.